It's time for Mr. Fundamental!
Presented by no one.
The Oklahoma City Thunder has been one of the most surprising teams in the NBA. Many analysts peg them as a competitive team, either fighting for the 8th seed or a late lottery team, but they're currently sitting pretty at number 6. I had my doubts on whether they'll make the playoffs this season, and I remember this comment in the offseason. Although 3-point shooting was the main reason I counted them out, that has not held them back at all. So let's see how they're doing this. A quick flashback to when Westbrook was leading the Thunder. He thrived off chaos by constantly pushing the pace and attacking the basket. With CP3 in charge, they're a lot more calculated. After the initial action was broken up, CP3 seemed nonchalant, but he knew Adams would be open after the screen, with no one tagging him on the weak side. They rely on precise execution in half court and identifying mismatches. Gallo had the mismatch and tried to get him in the post. The Spurs pre-switch, but now Adams has the mismatch. They hit him in the post, clear out, and the spin away from the help defense gets him a big board slam. Coming off a double screen, Westbrook would have attacked Giles going downhill, but CP3 takes his time, gets in the lane, and uses Adam to fend off the shot blocker. CP3's game management rubbed off on his teammates, and everyone's trying to find a mismatch. They tried to get a smaller defender on Gallo, but the Rockets pre-switched. The defensive weak link is Clemson, so they reverse the ball to Shea, who gets to the basket at will. One of the best things CP3 is doing this season is playing hide and seek with bigs in transition. Check out how he's stalking and hiding behind Ayton coming down the floor. Once he reaches the 3-point line, he reveals himself for the open 3. This happened again, but the Suns were more aware this time. But because of what happened last time, it sucks in an extra defender, leading to an above the break 3. This always happens, because the bigs he's hiding behind are still trying to find their man. Once they realize it's CP3, it's already too late. Coming down the floor, look at how CP3 sees Moore and Holiday are ready to pick him up. He expertly dribbles to the left, forcing either Hayes or Melly to pick him up. This mismatch causes confusion in the pick and roll. The defense scrambles, and the Thunder picks them apart for the bucket. The Thunder run a lot of ball screens, which isn't surprising with 3 good point guards on the team. They've been able to make it work even without great shooters because of their mid-range efficiency. CP3 is one of the best mid-range shooters in the league, and he's making bigs pay every time they sag back on the screen. These are basically wide open, since most defenses are designed to give up the mid-range jumper instead of 3s or layups. Defenses would collapse on the pick and roll, and it seems like there isn't a good offensive option here. Both Hart and Holiday are in position to stop the roller. Lonzo's covering Schroeder, and within reach of Gallo as well. Although a pull-up mid-range with a decent contest seems like a bad shot, but this is a great look for CP3. CP3 is shooting an incredible 54% in the mid-range area, which not only reduces the effect of having average floor spacers, they'll start to pull the big out further. Defenses could go under the screen, but that's just inviting the pull-up 3, which CP3 is no stranger to either. All this applies to Shea and Schroeder as well. Shea uses a combination of his size and herky-jerky moves to get off his mid-range jumpers or floaters. With this mid-range jumper in his arsenal, bigs get frozen when they sag back. And check out this crafty sidestep and finish over the big. Just like CP3, if the defense goes under the screen, he'll make them pay. Schroeder is the quickest out of the 3, but his shot profile is basically the same and punishes the defense with his mid-range game. Look at these numbers. All 3 guards are either above average or elite in the mid-range area. These numbers could regress to the mean, but I would bet against that, since all 3 have made a living through the mid-range game. All these mid-range jumpers would force the bigs to come out higher, and that's when the Thunder will force switches and attack the mismatch. CP3 is one of the best at attacking mismatches. He takes what the defense gives him, and this time he drains the 3 when Millsap backed up too far. In the double screen, Aldridge instantly closed the gap to stop the pull-up. That's when CP3 will take his time, dance a little, and score in the mismatch. Giles was a lot higher in the screen and roll coverage, so CP3 takes him all the way to the other side to ensure the mismatch. He gets the ball back to get in the triple threat. He dances again, and he drains another 3-ball. Another screen and roll, and this time, he fakes the lob to Noel so that Hart wouldn't recover. He gives it up, but every Thunder knew to attack the mismatch, and CP3 scores right in his defender's face. Shea must have picked up a few things with CP3 as a mentor. Even without a quick first step, he can isolate on switches and get great looks in the mid-range area. After Saric switches on him, A quick crossover gets him in the paint and he draws the foul. While CP3 and Shea relies on being methodological, Schroeder leverages his quickness in mismatches. Check out that hop to throw off the shot blocker for the basket. They get Bjelica switched onto Schroeder, but he's way too quick, and the spin move leaves him in the dust. What you might have missed out is another mismatch. While Gallo does most of his damage out on the perimeter, the Thunder got him in the post whenever there's a mismatch. A quick drag screen is enough to get the switch, and a nice spin move gets Gallo right to the rim. At 6'10", barely any guards can contest these jumpers, and Gallo becomes the fourth mid-range splash brother. If you've watched the highlights of the three guards, you might have known all this, but the unsung hero on this Thunder's team is still Steven Adams. He's a great offensive rebounder, and although OKC has prioritized getting back in transition this season, it hasn't stopped him at all. What you might not realize is that all these mid-range jumpers and switches put him in the best position to grab these boards. Coming off the screen, CP3 snakes back to the right, so Hart gets stuck on Adams. If these contested jumper misses, Adams has inside position, and no guards could out-rebound him. Here's a sideline pick and roll. Adams practically seals off White during CP3's snake dribble. While CP3 takes the fading jumper, Adams is in great rebounding position, and he gets the putback. We all know about Adams' physicality and mean screens, but he does a great job at reading the defense, and slips it when he needs to. These double screens already had CP3's defender trailing, and Adams slips into space instead of screening again, keeping him ahead of the defense. In semi-transition, he recognizes that Capella is showing on the screen, so he slips it and occupies Capella just long enough for Shea to float it in. A very minor detail you might have missed out is how many fouls he draws. Although these numbers, especially free throws, might not seem like a lot, it doesn't tell the whole story. He's a big reason why the Thunders attempt the 5th most free throws in the league, while attempting the 5th least shots at the rim. He's such a physical presence that defenders have to foul in order to get him out of the paint. These duck-ins and seal-off usually results in a foul, and these will pile up until CP3 and Gallo start doing the sweeping moves to draw fouls. Although the NBA changed these fouls into sidelined inbounds, it becomes free throws when their team is in the bonus, and man, are they in the bonus a lot. Even when defenders get more physical to prevent post position, the Thunders will get 2 free throws if they get too physical. Back to their average spacing. Here are their best shooters. Only 2 role players are shooting above average from deep, while their primary scoring options are their best shooters. Defenses can collapse on their pick and roll sets, but the Thunder added some wrinkles to their offense. Schroeder has the speed to blow by Walker, and check out White. He takes a step back from Shea in order to prevent a backdoor and cut off a potential Schroeder drive. It makes sense, since Shea is an average shooter as well. That's when the Thunder will run handoffs into pick and rolls. The Spurs do a good job by switching this, but this allows middle penetration, and Shea does his thing in the mid-range. Same thing here. While Brooks does a good job, Morant fell asleep by giving up some space, since Schroeder isn't the best shooter and preparing to help on the handoff. That's when Schroeder sprints towards handoff, leaving Morant trailing and drains the jumper. That's why off-ball defenders continue to stick with average shooters, sometimes a bit too much, leaving the backdoor cuts open. My favorite wrinkle is Adams' pick and roll. Not as a roller, but as the ball handler. Yeah, you heard that right. Typically, CP3 would cut up for the reversal, but he screens for Adam instead, and he's hard to stop with all that momentum. Bigs aren't used to getting around screens, and this time it turns cat around. The Jazz must have known something was up when Adams was in the corner. Gobert recovers by going under the screen, but look at how deep Adams is, and he had no chance of stopping this. Defensively, they're not doing anything special. A combination of slow pace, get back in transition, limit threes and fouls net them a top 10 defensive rating. Let's not forget that when they score, and they do so efficiently, they have time to set up their defense. They don't have a lockdown wing defender, but Steven Adams cleans up a lot of mistakes both as a rim protector and switch defender. The only thing I want to point out is CP3 guarding bigger forwards when they trot out their 3-guard lineups. This 3-man lineup has a net rating of 29.6. Their offensive rating explodes with another playmaker, but they don't take a step back defensively either. Shea has the size to guard bigger wings, but is not as effective as putting CP3 on them. We've seen CP3 shutting down bigger players before. This year, teams don't even try to attack him directly, despite their size advantage. Even though the Thunder are firmly in the playoffs, people are still counting them out. Analysts usually consider teams with top 10 offense and defenses as contenders. Based on that, the Thunder should be considered a fringe contender then. Sure, their defensive numbers could be skewed by their slow pace, but that means their offensive rating should be even higher. Add in the fact that games slow down and iso ball increases in the playoffs, the Thunder could be a dark horse team. I'm not sure how far they'll go in the playoffs, but they'll be a very tough matchup. This team reminds me of the Bulls in 2017, when they took a 2-0 lead against the Celtics, with a lineup of Rondo, Wade, Butler, Mirotic, and Lopez. They also lacked spacing, but that didn't stop them from making noise in the playoffs. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, drop a like down below, and make sure to subscribe. I'll see you guys next time.